The end for Season 3 of Invincible was one of the most hyped moments in recent fiction. In its moments, it was highlighted by the battle between Invincible Mark Grayson and Conquest. This fight was insane in both the show and the comics and showed just how strong Conquest and some of the other Viltrumites have the potential to be. But what if Conquest was set to conquer a different planet instead, the One Piece planet, and what if the hero of the Marines, Garp, were to step in his way? What's up guys, my name is Verdix, and if you enjoy videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I put out quality content like this weekly, you won't want to miss. Now, quick disclaimer before we go in, if you haven't read the rest of Invincible, this is a spoiler warning, you have been warned. The Invincible verse, like every other, has its stretch of top tiers, and Conquest isn't shy of that list. Even Viltrumites like Omni-Man are wary of his strength. Speaking of which, Nolan himself was damaged and threatened by Conquest himself during their battle in space. Nolan is someone able to easily destroy the Flaxan Empire just by blitzing through the planet. This was done without the use of his full strength, and this feat is calced at anywhere from multi-continental bare minimum to planetary at the highest interpretation. Mind you, this was only a small percentage of Nolan's true strength. Conquest upscales from this, and to get some more planetary level feats out there Conquest scales to, the Viltrumites are stated to have completely destroyed planets to the point there's nothing to go back to. There also are statements that when characters of such magnitude fight, it threatens to tear the planet apart. There's also the direct showing of Mark, Nolan, and Thaddeus destroying planet Viltrum. Conquest is able to compete with all of these guys in a fight, and during his second fight with Mark in space, he was able to punch right through him. Mark himself, all the way back when he first gained his powers, was able to stop continent destroying meteors simply by throwing them back. He has only gotten infinitely times stronger since then, and this is now his second time fighting Conquest. It's not like planetary is the highest feat shown during the series, as Thragg and End of Series Mark were producing large star level feats. Mind you, Conquest doesn't rank too far down from these guys and is able to scare and damage Nolan, who the Viltrum Empire considered their greatest asset and has conquered multiple planets beforehand. Before his actual death, he was only beaten after being suffocated by Mark, and in their first fight, it took the combined efforts of Mark, Oliver, and fucking 5D Eve to take him out. Even then, with his head pounded into the ground, he was able to regenerate and survive. During both of their fights, Conquest lets Mark get the upper hand on him, which led to his downfall. If he wanted to from the start, he easily could have killed Mark in their first encounter, and maybe even in their second in space. Mind you, Mark and Conquest were going blow for blow with each other, and the only reason why Mark even got in the position to choke Conquest out was because Conquest tried to go after Oliver to satisfy his kill order. Ultimately, Conquest would rank far above the likes of Multicontinental, being able to potentially beat Omni-Man, but due to his fight with Mark and the feats displayed by the counterparts, Conquest, in my opinion, would be a small planetary level being on the AP side of things. Garp is one of the most well-known and respected top tiers amongst the One Piece world. He has some of the best beat art in the game to back him up, and this goes mainly into who he was fighting during his prime. You can easily get him far past Continental level, as he directly overpowered and one-shot Chinchao's drill that is capable of splitting apart and destroying continents. Characters like Roger and Whitebeard have fought against Garp before multiple times it seems like. In fact, Roger states it's the only way for him to get a real challenge from the version of Marines at that time. Roger is a character that actively seeks strong opponents to fight, as he immediately ran towards and one-shot Odin, then went on to clash with and fought Whitebeard for 3 days and nights. Even after they conclude, both characters are just fine and laughing it off together. Whitebeard is able to destroy the One Piece planet, which is stated both within the verse and as an author statement from Oda. Garp is able to fight off this and Roger, who, like I said, could fight this Whitebeard with his world-destructive power for 3 days and laugh and walk it off. Mind you, Roger is clashing with the fruit that Whitebeard can destroy the world with. Plus, Blackbeard, after stealing the Guruguru no Mi, clashes with non-top tiers using this power and they can stalemate it, so this is definitely consistent within the story. As so is the One Piece planet being implied to be larger than normal, as it has multiple orbiting moons, meaning Garp can fight off Whitebeard, who possesses the ability to destroy the large One Piece planet. Garp, even in old age, is able to fight against Kuzan and injure him before losing the fight, succumbing to his injuries. Kuzan is a man that changes climates just by going all out, and he wasn't anywhere near that during his fight with Garp. However, he was trained directly under Garp and could produce equal physical strength as each other without the usage of haki. Garp is able to attack opponents without touching them due to Advanced Conquerors Haki and can drop nukes onto them with a Galaxy Impact. We don't know enough about it to scale, but Garp, when teaming up with Roger, was able to take down the Rocks Pirates, who are filled up with multiple world-destroying characters, including Whitebeard himself. Like I stated, the details of this moment aren't made known to us as yet, but this is another way to scale Garp around large planetary level. Speed in the Invincible verse is made pretty clear in my opinion, especially with characters like Conquest, as Viltrumites can travel through space into different galaxies. Nolan does this within a week after leaving Earth, and Conquest can keep up with this. During his clash with Mark, he was able to overwhelm his speed, despite Mark being able to get to the moon and back in seconds. I mean, hell, even the Immortal can do this. Lightspeed characters in Invincible is more so the common, especially when guys like Conquest can move across space to other galaxies within a week. I'm sure I don't need to educate you on basic science, but traveling to another galaxy within a week would require massively faster than light speeds to achieve. Nolan is also able to avoid oncoming asteroids in space. Conquest is bare minimum at the MFTL plus levels of speed. Now, most of my consistent viewers know by now my thoughts on the One Piece speed scaling, but if you are new, let me go over it for you.
Let me break it down for you, Mark.
Back in Thriller Bark, we see Kuma is able to fire his pad cannons at the speed of light, yet Zoro is able to dodge these attacks. This is a pre-time skip Thriller Bark Zoro that is achieving this FTL feat, and he, along with the rest of the verse, only gets much faster than this, as after going on a 2-year training arc, Luffy in base was able to dodge lightspeed attacks and call them too slow. Luffy, especially at that point in the series, is someone who Garp gapped in speed, and when he uses his gears, Luffy can amplify his speeds to an insane degree, while getting stronger and faster arc through arc. Islands after lightspeed in base was too slow to him, he was able to fight Katakuri, who eclipsed this speed until Luffy unlocked Snake Man, yet even then, Luffy can't keep up with Kaido and has to go through another training arc to keep up with him. Kaido is someone that Garp is able to fight against and keep up with. Garp is able to display similar speeds enough to keep up with and fight off anyone in the verse, which gets him, in my opinion, to massively faster than light speeds, especially on how accurate you believe the gear multipliers to be. One of the biggest tools up Conquest's sleeve is his insane durability and endurance, as it's not until Mark stops holding back in their first fight that he can draw blood from Conquest, but this is only good enough to make him bleed, and if you've watched a second of Invincible, you would know this is not anywhere near able to take down a Viltrumite, especially Conquest. As if it wasn't for Eve burning his skin the fuck off, he wouldn't be put in the scenario he ended up being in, which was having his head bashed in by Mark. But even this isn't enough to kill Conquest. At this point, you could kill him, but since Mark passed out and Cecil dropped the fucking ball, Conquest was able to survive, and it took Mark suffocating him to actually finish the job in their second fight. I would rank Conquest's endurance right where his AP is, if not a bit higher in that planetary level tier. Now, Garp in my opinion is kind of underrated in terms of how hard he is to kill. During his fight with Kuzan, not only did he fight against Kuzan, but he was stabbed by Shiryu before having his chest pierced open by Kuzan. This is something that Garp survives against and is even conscious and laughing after it happens. He was also able to survive and stand after fighting off the Rocks Pirates. We don't know what specific attacks he took, but taking multiple attacks from world-destructive opponents definitely had to sting a bit. Kuzan himself is another one of the world-destructive fighters, and Garp, even in old age, could take punches from him. Just like Conquest, I would rank Garp around that planetary level tier of endurance. Now, with most of my fights, I have a direct answer to give, but this video is different, as I have two answers for both sides I really can't come to a decision on. However, these wincons are definitely something to be mentioned for each character, as this fight is not a walk in the park for either combatant. As if he were to be smart here, Conquest could just take Garp up into space and kill him that way. However, Conquest being Conquest won't prefer this way of victory. Being in character here, he is bound to want to go blow for blow to the death with the Garp here. I mean, he could have killed Mark when they first met, but he didn't because he wanted to have a good fight. Unless he gets desperate, I don't know how likely it is for Conquest to do this. Although he did do it when fighting Mark, this was kind of an outlier because he knew Mark could survive in space. If they do go blow for blow, Garp will have the slight edge on this end, as Garp can combat against the large planetary level fighters, and Conquest doesn't scale up to that exact large planetary level. Another thing is, unlike Mark, Garp can hit him and destroy his mechanical arm without having his arm destroyed in the process. Remember, Garp is an advanced Conqueror's Haki user and won't have to deal with the, I guess you can say, aftershock of these attacks like Mark did. However, I believe Conquest can move faster than Garp and endure more of these attacks. Unless Garp does something similar to Mark, I don't think his strikes alone will be able to just rip apart and destroy Conquest. He would have to either literally pummel Conquest's face into the ground like Mark did, or choke him out, which is unlikely for his character. It really comes down to if or if not Garp can land an onslaught of attacks onto Conquest before he gets back up. If he isn't capable of doing that, then Garp is going to meet his limit. Even if he can survive having a big hole split through him, he won't be able to heal from it and continue to fight off Conquest unless he chokes him out like Mark was. I do believe that Conquest will be pushed back by the strength of Garp's punches, but he is capable of surviving insane levels of damage, and he has the speed advantage. Like I said earlier, if he ever wanted to, Conquest could just throw Garp into space, but that's if you genuinely believe that's a way he would want to win. If you are on the grounds that he would, then yeah, Conquest wins, but if you are more so on the belief that it will be a blow-for-blow battle to the death, well then it's going to get very tricky, and all matters on whether or not you believe Garp can combo Conquest before he gets back up. I know it might not be the traditional answer you were necessarily looking for, but I would be lying to you if I told you there was a clear, decisive answer here. So it's really up to your interpretation. Like I said, if you think Conquest would take Garp up into space, or he can withstand enough of Garp's attacks, then it goes to Conquest. But if you believe Conquest, being the battle-loving meathead that he is, will go for a real fight with Garp and can't withstand these onslaughts of attacks, then Garp wins. But I can't come to a decision I 100% stand on. I kind of lean more on Conquest winning just because I feel like that speed and endurance will come into play. But like I said, this fight is insanely close. It can go to either side, depending on how you think they choose to fight each other. Well, that's it for you guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and leave a like. It really helps with the algorithm and is very appreciated. As always, shout out to Tiberius for the thumbnail. He makes quality thumbnails for me all the time, and if you would like some of your own, hit him up on Twitter, link in the description, as well as my Twitter at @verdicts_ for more of my takes. And without further ado, you guys can get out of here.